Well, it has been a stormy start to the weekend for a few of our capitals. We're joined by Nikolina Kharoufeh from Sky News Weather. Nikolina, are there any warnings in place for these storms?
Well, we're watching that very closely here at Sky News Weather. At the moment, no severe weather warnings, but certainly some storms travelling across the southeast. You could have been woken up by a rumble of thunder across Sydney, looking very gloomy early in the morning. Sally here disembarking off a cruise ship. I think pretty good timing there in terms of that weather across the capital. Now, it's not just Sydney. Adelaide had a few rumbles of thunder as well very early on in the morning as that trough crossed over. Melbourne itself as well, some suburbs picking up over 10 millimetres there, and a consistent flow of showers across Tasmania there. A road weather alert is in place. We have a little bit of low-lying fog around there and also quite a bit of wet weather. But this is your New South Wales radar. You can see very active, not just across that Sydney region. We'll zoom in on that in just a second, but across inland regions as well. Cobar picking up over 30 millimetres there, and the Australian Capital Territory also getting a bit of wet weather, but a break in the last hour. This is that line of storms that impacted the Sydney region very early on in the morning, and we've had a few also just starting to come through from the west there. So we've picked up at Sydney and Sydney Airport over 10 millimetres there. Richmond 5 millimetres, Olympic Park 9.6. Holsworthy 5 millimetres. You can see there's some isolated heavier falls within there. We have this trough. It's a low-lying trough that's creating this instability. It's staying quite stagnant today. So you can see there lingering about, creating quite a bit of heavy rainfall across New South Wales. So we do have the risk of flash flooding there. Moving out of Victoria towards the early hours of Sunday, bringing a southerly flow to South Australia in behind it, so a cooler day ahead for you there. We have a widespread area under storm risk, so that red shading there indicates to you regions where we could be seeing severe storms throughout today. Triple threat, which means hail, damaging winds and also heavy rainfall. But then regions also in the yellow have the chance of a storm or two. Up in the top end, we're being linked up by this moisture here. So this is where we're starting to see that instability as well in and around the Darwin region, not quite within the city, but also the northern parts of WA. So it's not just the southeast that's receiving a bit of a stormy start to the weekend. We're getting some storm activity starting to really enhance towards the afternoon and evening throughout more inland regions of the Northern Territory, through central areas such as the Alice, and a consistent flow of showers for the tropical coast there. But we're expecting that storm activity to pull back throughout parts of Queensland. What we are focusing on in Queensland is certainly the heat. We do have low to severe grade heat wave in place for much of the state. You can see there pockets of red throughout the inland. That's over 40 degrees today. Also quite warm throughout the central parts of WA. So this is our heat wave forecast for your Saturday. You can see some pockets of extreme across WA and also just inland regions of Queensland, but Brisbane is also under that low intensity heat wave. So it's a warm one for you across that southeast, 31 degrees in Brisbane, a lot of stormy skies and icons across our map here for Sydney, Canberra, showers starting to pull back in Melbourne towards your Sunday, Hobart 22 degrees and a bit of a gloomy weekend for you, and quite warm in Perth at a top of 33.
Thank you so much for that.